You feel fine to connect. You're open to connection. Bring it on. But every single person you attract is not. Afraid of commitment, afraid of intimacy, whatever it may be, you keep attracting that same partner in different clothes with different hair. And you keep wondering, why do I keep attracting this person? And the reason is that you have a no permission for connection entanglement. So of course you're going to attract that kind of person because that fits the entanglement. Trouble networking, yes. Trouble networking is when you go to networking events, or you're just like, even at a place like this, and you meet people and you connect and you get their business cards and you're like, oh, and we're gonna get in touch and we're gonna work together, and then nothing happens. When there's no permission for connection, even the networking can fall flat and you don't get new customers. You don't get that many new customers when you network, or you don't have follow through on the people that say, let's work together, yeah. So that's what that's about. All right, I'm going to smoosh two entanglements together, the abundance one and the success one. So the money entanglement and the success entanglement, I'm going to smoosh them into one. Here's some of the signs and symptoms to look for. Trouble starting or growing your business. When you're entangled with an ancestor that had a money problem or a business problem, you may notice that you have trouble starting or growing your business. You might notice that you have an income ceiling. Everyone please say and do that with me. Income ceiling. Thank you. You may notice you have an income ceiling. You might also notice that you are uncomfortable doing sales. Now, a lot of people say to me, I don't like to do sales because I hate promoting myself. It feels so fake and weird to say, work with me because I'm so great. And I was working with, I discovered this aspect of the entanglement when I was working with this woman. She said, I hate doing sales. And I said, okay, well, let me teach you the conversational sales method that I have developed, because when you talk with people this way, one, it's a gift. Like, they totally have this amazing transformative experience from the conversation. And two, it's this very casual conversation where you're just connecting with someone, and then if you're a fit for each other, then you work together. And if not, then great, you're both better off for having shared some time together. So it's this super easy way of having a sales conversation. That's fun, that's nice. She loved the method. I taught it to her, she loved it. And, oh, I didn't have her slide there. And she couldn't use it because every time she went to pick up the phone, she would get this anxiety. She would get this like discomfort and fear. So she said to me, I guess I just don't like doing sales. And I said, well, let's look at that. So I looked at her family tree and I drew it all out and I looked at the patterns that were going down through the different generations, and I was like, wait a minute, your brother didn't get his fair share of the inheritance. And any time that somebody gets more than their fair share or less than their fair share, it causes an imbalance, and that causes an entanglement pattern. So she was entangled with that, and she didn't give the entanglement was no permission for money because her brother didn't get to have money. She was entangled with that. As we released that, she called me a couple weeks later and she said, you won't believe it. I had my little, like notes of what you had taught me. I went to the phone, I was totally calm. I had no fear, picked it up, started calling people, started having these conversations, and Dana, just like you said, they were really fun. And I got customers. Now, she had been in the massage therapy business for 10 years and could not build a thriving practice. And she thought it was because she didn't like sales. Instead, she had a money entanglement. And the money entanglement blocked her from feeling comfortable with sales. Because if you're comfortable with sales, what's going to happen? Is your business going to increase or decrease? You got it. So your subconscious is going to work together in alignment with your entanglements. If the entanglement says no permission for money, the subconscious works with that, which means you're going to subconsciously self-sabotage. Now, sometimes you're aware of your self-sabotage. Like, how many of you have caught yourself before, during, or after a self-sabotage? Like, you were aware. It happens, right? Yes, all of us. And other times, you're not aware of it. And you just think, oh, well, that's just me. I'm not good at sales. Subconscious self-sabotage in relation to the entanglement. Make sense? Yes? Yes. Good. All right. The last one I'll share with you is a pull towards death. And there's a skull with a business suit on, just because it was a funny picture. So turn to your neighbor and go, ooh. The pull towards death. It sounds really kind of intimidating, and a lot of people have it. I had a lot of it, which is why I was having all those health problems. I have a very heavy family tree. I've had a lot of entanglements to get through. The pull towards death was one of them, and many of us in the room might have it because pull towards death is often caused by wars, genocide, all that stuff, and we've had a lot of those. around the world in the last, couple centuries. Well, long time. So, what things to look for a pull towards death in your own life. Here's the signs and symptoms. Are you experiencing a dim life in some areas of your life? Like you're not just fully robust. Like your money and your business quadrant isn't just and then like your relationship part quadrant, and then your like health and happiness areas, just not, it's like the volume isn't turned all the way up. It's a little bit dim, okay? Health issues. If you notice that you're having any health issues, like energy issues, actual illnesses that they can diagnose, illnesses they can't diagnose, like mine, whatever that was. Although there was something that recently got diagnosed, remind me to tell you about Dr. Dan and how Dr. Dan helped me. He's on my team. Some of you have already worked with Dr. Dan. Remind me to tell you what Dr. Dan did for me. So, emotional pain. Here's a few things to look for. Emotional pain like sadness. Do you just kind of experience feeling down or sad? Sometimes for no reason. No explained reason in your recent life. Or sadder than you should feel based on whatever was just happening. Dark imaginings. So, I used to think that everybody had this thought, and it turns out that not everybody has this thought, and there's a lot of people that think, doesn't everybody have that thought? No, not everybody has this thought. Those of us that have pull towards death have this thought. Are you ever driving down the freeway, speeding, or going on a windy mountain road, and suddenly the thought just comes to your mind, what if I just... You get curious about your own demise. You get curious about what would it be like, okay? Not everybody has that thought. Newsflash. I thought everybody had that thought. Not everybody has that thought. And you go and ask some of your friends now, like, do you ever just think about turning? No. What? You want to see? How many of you have had that thought? How many of you have never had that thought? So there's a lot of pull towards death, like I said, because of all the wars and stuff, but I've met a lot of people who have said, like, what? Never have that thought. Here's another one. When things get rough, those with pull towards death tend to have the, wouldn't it be better if I were just dead? Which is, what if, or even closer, like, maybe I should kill myself. Maybe that would fix this. Yeah. Right? There's the, yeah, and that's a pull towards death speaking, is what I'm saying. It's not everybody has this thought. It's the effect of the entanglement. There you go. And any number of things that lead towards death thinking, pull towards death. They also say that fear of heights is part of pull towards death because the subconscious, fear of heights is in part related to the subconscious being afraid that you might just accidentally slip or lose your balance right towards the edge. And so the fear of heights is a self-protection method to keep you away from the edge. How many of you have fear of heights in the room? Yeah. And we did have a lot of pull towards death in the room in this weekend that you noticed today from our raising hands.